Hello and welcome to See If It Sticks. We are bringing in the end of the world today because it is currently, when you're listening to this, will be Monday the 9th of August. But today when we record, which is Monday the 2nd of August, it is officially...
Wednesday.
Oh yes, Wednesday.
Wednesday today,
oh no,
yeah.
So you'll be listening on Monday the 7th? 7th of August.
Let me just figure this out. Give me a second.
We are recording on Wednesday this week.
Which is the 2nd, and
is the
you'll
2nd.
be listening on Monday the 7th.
Yes.
Yeah.
And today is Earth Overshoot Day.
This is the news that sticks as well.
Yes, this is the news that sticks. Yeah.
And I'm Ross, hello.
I'm Dom, hello.
Get into that. Once we've celebrated this monumentous occasion, I'm Dan.
I'm Dom.
I'm Ross.
Trust me, guys.
Sorry.
I'm going to get there. You didn't need to...
You broke format. I
You
didn't
didn't
like
need
it.
to use up all of our resources.
like it.
It's out of my comfort zone.
Got to leave the table.
So we're now 5 days into...
Earth Overshoot Day.
We've
We are
overshot.
proper fucked.
We've gone over. So
Explain what it is, Dan.
Earth Overshoot Day is basically on our planet.
Yes.
We have a certain amount of natural resources which can be
We're
replaced.
talking here
So, for example,
Wood.
the amount of carbon that we breathe out. There's a certain amount of like CO2 that plants can replace with oxygen.
Yeah.
And fish or any sort of livestock based sort of thing will reproduce as long as we responsibly farm it.
Yes.
So there's a day every year which started being measured in 1987, I believe it was.
And then what month of the year was that?
In 1987, I'll tell you. This printer has actually covered up a lot of the information, annoyingly, but it's okay. It's okay. I do remember some of the information. 1986, it began. In the 80s, the overshoot day always fell in November.
Okay.
In 1993, it'd come back to October.
You'd have thought it was worse then, but I guess population's grown.
Just after the millennium, it was September, and now we're 2nd of August this year. I believe last year it was on the 7th of August. So
so we're just a little bit worse.
We're a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's the kind of point where they refer to it as living on credit.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're living on borrowed time here. Yeah. So we've felled more trees, harvested more, consumed more water, caught more fish, emitted more carbon than the Earth can replace.
Is this something, I mean, obviously it's probably happening a bit too fast, but is this something that we will evolve to deal with? There being less oxygen? Like humans?
Well, no.
No?
The Earth will continue. I've got some grim news for you, but probably the outlook for humanity is that the Earth will always live on.
Yeah.
But we won't.
No. I guess the Earth's going to have so much carbon, it's going to be able to breathe forever.
There's different theories kind of on the matter. But from what I have read and what I've heard is that we are probably going to be one of the non-prevailing entities on the Earth.
Yeah.
That there are other species of
a virus.
Animal that will probably continue on. Plants will I suppose continue
and sea-dwelling creatures, I guess, unless we fuck the oceans up too bad.
Well, there's already record amounts of carbon in the oceans.
Is there?
And acidity.
Despite the fact they can breathe underwater, it's the oxygen in the water that they actually survive on. So more carbon in the water means
less fishes.
Yeah, and that's the reason why it's more acidic. Is that there's increased amounts of carbon CO2 in the
And as
water.
anybody who's kept fish knows, you need to keep your pH either as acidic or alkali as possible. It's not, you don't keep it neutral.
Right.
pH neutral, because some fish prefer more acidic water, some fish prefer more alkali water.
And more alkali is more oxygen.
No, I don't
Just
know.
less carbon, or
No, that's just not really. It's sort of a byproduct from the fact there's more carbon in there. It makes it more acidic.
Right.
Without going too deep into the chemistry of it, and chemistry was always my weakest. Whereas physics and biology were, which is odd because it's sort of the connective tissue between the two. But
chemistry was my weakest.
And chemistry is everyone's weakest.
Yeah, so according to campaigners, I mean, I will point out that these days are sort of
arbitrary at best. Or?
They come from environmental groups such as WWF and the Global Footprint Network. The WWF say that I can't see it through and do the wrestling joke.
I was about to think you were about to do it as Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah!
No, the WWF said we're hitting Mother Nature with a steel chair. They say that we need the equivalent of 1.7 planets worth of resources in order to
1.7
survive at the moment. Yeah, they've even made this nice image where they've put a straw in the earth,
like she's a juice box.
Yes, like she's a juice box.
Some hot juice in the middle.
Even worse news than that, the day in the UK is even earlier. It's the 4th of May.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was going to say I thought our day had already been and gone, but that must have been our day.
Yes, it is our day.
When was America's day?
January?
3rd of January.
Yeah.
Beginning of time.
Yeah.
Well, China's the worst.
China's the worst.
China's really bad, yeah.
For some things, other things maybe not. I don't know.
The advice is, so here comes my question for the week. I'll give you a little background on this. The Global Footprint Network reported that food makes up 26% of our global footprint. And if we cut food waste in half, ate less protein-intensive foods, and consumed more fruit and vegetables, it could be reduced to 16%. Our carbon footprint has the largest impact at 60%. So they are suggesting that we eat less meat, burning less fuel, and cutting back on food waste. But to that I say, I like meat. I like driving my car. And also, I don't like manky looking food. So I want to continue throwing it away. What is our solution to combat Earth Overshoot Day?
Well, they're leaving out one thing entirely, and that is, for instance, my next door neighbour has a sort of semi-sustainable house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they have solar panels on the roof.
Yeah.
All the heat comes from burning refuse and other stuff it's like in his shed. He's got like a crazy thing going on, and all the heat stuff comes through there. So perhaps making the way we power our homes more sustainable.
I plan to make a self-sustainable home. I'd love to do that. I'd like rainwater for like the toilets and like that. Have a little.
Oh, I think he does that as well.
I'd love to do that.
Well, when my girlfriend and I went to Mauritius, a couple of months ago now, their airport is actually like the rainwater's connected. It's all solar powered. Yeah, they're really green over in Mauritius. Actually,
carbon neutral.
Yeah,
but then he can't be carbon neutral if he's burning waste. Surely he's emitting pollution in a.
Well, what you have to think
way.
about is you have to cease thinking about burning things as
bad,
as emitting waste, and thinking about it on like a chemical level. So when you burn wood, you are releasing the energy from the sun.
Yeah.
Because sun beats down and plants photosynthesize, and then when you get a piece of wood and you burn it,
it's got that energy.
You are releasing that energy back out.
Yeah.
Like when you eat a digestive biscuit, you are eating sunbeams. You are consuming sunbeams.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you eat anything made from plants.
And you fart rainbows.
Yes.
You are consuming starlight. You are consuming star stuff.
So
as you are made from star stuff.
Yeah.
So kind of like my point is that if you were to send that food waste off to landfill, would it have a worse carbon impact than if you burnt it? because
probably not. I guess
what you're doing is you're kind of releasing the remaining energy from
if
it.
you send it to landfill.
If you go to landfill, then you've probably got all sorts of machinery.
That's it. Yeah, and then they might even burn it anyway. There's a lot of incinerators.
Well, there's a new incinerator opened in the area. Well, not this specific area, but in this area of the country. But it's actually something I'm relatively familiar with because it's something that part of my.
Dom's been setting fire to people's wheelie bins.
Yes, I'm part of my family's. Like my dad and my uncle work together. It's part of the business they do. Is partly about biofuels and incinerators and burners and things like that. There's a lot of a good way to create energy. There's burning refuse, but look at Sweden. They have to import.
Yeah, they're nice.
They have to import rubbish. They have no rubbish. They have to import rubbish.
Why do they need to import rubbish?
So they can keep on burning it. So they can fucking power shit.
Yeah,
that's how they are so.
Can't find alternative ways to get power.
Well, the thing is, they've used all the rubbish in their country.
Yeah.
So that's how good they are at recycling what they waste. See, this is an alternative use for some food waste.
Yeah.
As opposed to...
Instead of throwing it away, feed it to a
hamster, a small wheel.
A lot of hamsters, yes.
Yeah, and little wheels. And then the wheels to turbines.
No, to burn it.
No, feed it to the hamsters. Put it on a little stick in front of a donkey, and he walks around in a big circle.
You know what the danger is, though? We'll all end up eating Wotsits. Because did you ever do the burning the Wotsit experiment at school? Yes, because they're really easy to release the energy from. Yeah. Did you ever do the burning Wotsit?
No, I didn't. No, they wouldn't let us play with fire at my school. It was pretty low down. My school in the area. It was one of the worst performing schools in the area. And it was an all-boys school.
The people that had to have blunt pencils.
That's the one, yeah. We couldn't have
no compasses.
Yeah, that's it. Couldn't have any pointy objects. Teacher genuinely got stabbed with a compass.
Fucking hell.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got stabbed with a compass once.
I never got stabbed with a compass. I had copper sulfate thrown at me by a teacher once.
Oh, I had the bromine on my face as well.
Burning copper sulfate at me.
Is it bromine or stuff that makes your skin goes brown?
It's iodine.
Iodine.
Oh, was it iodine? Yeah. Sorry, not bromine.
Yeah.
Bromine is an alternative to chlorine in pools.
That explains your ball bag then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I dipped my nuts in it and now they're so brown. Dad brown.
How do you know what my dad's balls look like?
Everyone's dad's balls.
I always used to make the joke you should get a Dulux colour chart for as you get older for what age you should be and what shade your balls should be.
Oh, and way too brown for my age.
That was on something. Heard that.
Really? Oh, someone's stolen my joke.
I feel like Maddie has told me this, which means that there's a good chance it was probably on a Russell Brand show.
Russell Brand is where I got Dad Brown from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never watched a Russell Brand show.
It was one of his stand-up things.
No, I never watched that.
So you want to burn food waste? You think that's the way forward?
Yeah. Sorry, I thought I was coming up with already things that were around.
No.
But the solar powers. It's such a good way to catch energy. I mean, in this country, it's difficult. But I heard recently that if you have too much solar power, you have to be registered as a fucking power station. So if you can generate too much electricity in your own house,
yeah, you can.
And then you have to register and go through a load of shit.
Yeah, because some of it gets put back into the national grid. Like our office that we record in, we at night it ticks over and any stored power gets put into the grid. Yeah, but you get money for that.
Yeah,
you get paid for it.
So I'd rather store it myself. So therefore, one day, like say apocalypse times, everything's off the grid.
Like you're gonna.
Yeah, I've got all the energy.
You're gonna be like
it's self.
Ross is gonna be the gas man in like Mad Max.
In my town, Ross.
Ross. Yeah.
I'd like my house not to be.
Don't become dependent on power.
I'd like it to be self-sustained in a literal sense, not just like a monetary sense.
You're going to give them 5 minutes of TV a day.
It's like an episode of South Park where the internet sort of goes everywhere and they go to California way to find the internet.
Yeah, they got a little bit of internet down there.
They got a little bit of internet down California way. And he gets like 5 seconds of like eBay shopping time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ross would just be doling it out to all these like
Give him a little bit.
bedraggled people like up at his
Trying to charge their iPhones. I'm out of my little external plug.
Yeah.
My little garden plug that I use my lawnmower.
Well, my solution is that we just carry on as we are, let humanity die, and then let the poor Earth get on with it.
Nice and nihilistic. But that's the thing. When people act like that, I know you're being facetious.
I will be given mercy by the planet.
I know you're being facetious, but like this is the thing that really gets me when people are like, we're just gonna all die anyway. But we have the power, the intellect to stop that and become a better version of ourselves.
Yes, we do.
But there's too much money being made out of the way that we do things now. So for them to stop doing
God damn it, Russ!
I know.
You got to try and be hopeful. See, it's that attitude, because someone like yourself...
No, but I don't eat beef because it pollutes the planet too much. So I don't eat beef
Someone like
anymore,
yourself, but you're sitting there going, it's all too much, the money. All it takes is
You drive a Nissan 370Z, but you won't eat a bloody cow.
No, because my car pales in insignificance to agriculture.
No, you are right.
So I do my bit because, I do drive around in a rather thirsty motor. And I do drive it rather spiritedly.
Now that you've given up cow, throw in the wrappers for your chicken meal out of the window.
Fuck the chickens.
Whacking his bargain bucket on top of a hedge.
But no, you're not going to stop the mass process without going around to everyone going, no more beef for you, no more beef for you. You can't have any more beef. But
all it takes is just a large number of people all making the same decision you've made.
Yeah.
For it to be a thing, and that is no small.
You know what the best
thing to do.
You know what the best large decision to have immediate results would be for people to stop being stupid, and to start accepting nuclear power.
Yeah,
that's very true as well.
Everyone's scared of nuclear power.
People are
and it's
so scared of nuclear power. It's unreal, but it's so incredibly safe, and it's so much better for the environment.
If Chernobyl had never happened, I think the whole world would have...
The thing is, though, like, I know that the results of a failure are pretty catastrophic when it comes to a nuclear power station. But the thing is, someone had to crash a plane before they got one to stay in the sky.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, the safest power station in the world is going to be one designed like one that's failed, but better.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the ways they have
discussed this before anyway.
Yeah. The ways they have of disposing of the nuclear waste now are great.
Shoot into space.
Yeah,
but that's still
mind you, that's another thing. That's another thing that
there's so much junk in space now.
The debris in space is getting so much now that it's becoming dangerous for things to be up there from time to time.
Yeah. God,
right. Like if you get like a asteroid shower or something, and it knocks a bit off of a space station.
Yeah.
Say that as an example. How do you get that bit of that space station back? You don't. Just orbits around the Earth.
Yeah.
There is so much shit up there.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
You ever seen the film Gravity?
I have seen the film Gravity,
when occasionally they get that the debris coming by. That is legitimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
they blow some of them up, don't they, up there? They don't want to bring them down.
The thing is,
when
you've got a satellite up there, you send a satellite up and, it gets a bit outdated and it fails. What do you do with it?
Well, can't they send it off outwards?
You can't land. No,
it's got no propeller in it.
But in orbit, it's just constantly falling.
Yeah.
So it's falling, but it's falling around the Earth.
Yeah.
So obviously,
eventually it'll come down, but not for a very long time.
Surely it has to correct itself every now and again. There must be a certain amount of fuel in there for it to realign itself.
No, it doesn't need because you pop it in orbit and it stays in orbit.
It stays in orbit, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So once they. I think you can move panels on it and stuff. They have batteries. They have solar.
Yeah,
they're largely solar powered, but they've got no propulsion. No. That's what you need in space. There's no
brake.
There's no wind or anything like that.
Orbit,
it's not like you can stick some flaps out and it will change the trajectory of it.
There's nothing for it to flap against.
Yeah, but they just stay up there. There's thousands and thousands of
hundreds of thousands.
It's just madness. So that's the kind of the next thing in terms of space. Like, how do you start getting rid of those?
Yeah.
How do you get up there and get them down?
Are we just going to move on to another planet and start again and try and do it properly this time?
Well, the thing is that what planet did you move to?
One of those ones in another galaxy.
Well, you've got the most recent discovery of those. Oh, what's the system called?
Yeah.
Begins with a T.
Numbers and all that.
Begins with a T.
Can't remember.
You got that recent rediscovery of those. The system begins with a T. I can't remember what it is. And a lot of those planets seem like they would be conducive to complex life, but you don't know until you get there. But they are a good 100 years away.
Yeah, that's it. And you've got to have almost like a couple of generations on a spaceship.
Well, that's sort of the.
And then aliens come, and then they burst out your chest, and then you've got all these.
Well,
problems.
no, that's what you've got to look at, possibly for the future of space colonization going crazy forward. In my head is giant arcs almost.
You would have to have that, but you would
sustainable.
Also just to in order to get there, even if you were traveling to our nearest,
you need more
star
fuel or energy than we can possibly create.
Not just that, but you're talking about like you would probably be on your second generation.
And the problem is,
by the time you're getting there.
In space, your body does weird shit. Yeah. Unless we can come up with some sort of way to create anti-gravity.
What about that thing where they spin?
That is
centrifugal force.
A workable hypothesis, isn't it? That's how they do it a lot in these sort of like near future films, like Interstellar.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And also the anime Cowboy Bebop. It's quite good.
Okay.
So once we crack splitting the atom, and all that kind of energy, then we're all right. We've got enough fuel to get us there, surely. Once we can, subatomic shit.
Well, I think we talked about this on the last podcast.
Yeah,
if you could successfully utilize all of the energy in a bit of mass, because E equals mc squared, you're multiplying it by the speed of light squared. So for every tiny amount of mass you have of anything on the planet, there is incredible amounts of stored energy in it. You just can't get to it all.
Yeah.
But even in those kind of processes, like the sun is like the human body is more of like gives out more energy, more like heat energy than a square, like the same size area of the sun.
Really?
Yes. The sun
is bigger.
I guess it's only the outside that's burning.
The sun is incredibly inefficient.
Right.
That's why they die.
Yeah.
But the sun is so huge that it gives out a lot net of energy, light, heat. So like even some of those processes, they're not particularly efficient.
So if we can get a big like hadron collider up in the sky, splitting atoms and harvesting energy.
That doesn't create energy per se.
No,
there's energy involved in the, but there's energy. You've got to create the energy first to
once you
collide the particles.
You have to put energy into a into a collider.
A lot of energy as well.
Yeah.
But once you finally get it going, it needs to when you get it sustaining itself.
It's not perpetual motion.
No,
perpetual motion against the laws of physics. Current
I
laws
guess
of
so.
physics.
Entropy exists, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're fucked then. We can't get to another planet. Hundreds of years away.
Yeah.
Well, with the current state of technology, no.
Not at the moment.
No.
Yeah.
Have they made any more movement with that magnetic EM drive?
Yeah, the EM drive. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
They're not sure how it works.
Yeah, they got it to work, didn't they? And I didn't really know how.
They were like, they only created a really tiny amount of thrust.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know what this is?
No.
You heard this? It's an electromagnetic drive.
Okay.
I don't know about the physics behind it or anything, but it's at NASA, and they got it to work for about a minute, and it created like an infinitesimal amount of thrust, but they didn't, and it was also like there's hardly any energy going into it, and they were like, how the fuck does this work? They can't figure out how it works.
But I think they were talking about that, like that was the solution for space travel, didn't they?
Probably the magnets momentarily getting a bit of energy pumped into them and screwing up all of NASA's instruments.
No. Like, these are much cleverer people than us.
These are all going off the scale, and the paperclips seem to love it too.
Well, anyway, it was an interesting thing, and it's something they're looking into.
Yeah.
Did you ever put a magnet on your telly when you were a kid? When you had the old tube tellies?
Yeah.
You used to make the corner go green.
Yeah.
Dad used to get the right up about that.
That can destroy.
Yeah.
Used to do it at school on the computer screens.
Yeah.
And then you do that thing with the screen when it goes boom. Can't remember what that actually was.
Or when you turn it on.
No, you press you used to have a button where the screen sort of go dong. And it would.
It did, didn't it? What was it for?
I can't remember what that was for.
Oh yeah.
It used to. Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? It used to kind of almost reboot it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, it looked like the screen sort of like was almost like detached from the back for a second.
Yeah.
It would go all shaky. Fuck knows what that was.
I remember
for.
they used to shake as well, some of them, didn't they? The broken ones
Yeah,
used to like
yeah,
wobble
yeah.
a little bit. It used to drive you crazy.
Nowadays, man.
Nowadays, they'd never let a kid sit in front of a wobbling screen, but back in the late 80s, they made us stay there. Miss, my brain hurts.
Well,
Get on with it.
This has become a very depressing podcast.
Type
so
your green things.
I'm gonna
Make the arrow move.
I'm gonna wrap it up for the news this week.
Is it like BBC Micro or something?
It was that thing where you go forward 10, turn right 12, go forward 10, and you go, and then you repeat a million times, and it would go, do a little pattern.
Oh.
That thing.
Oh,
Don't know what that was.
What computer was it?
Oh, fuck knows. No idea. They had Excel on them as well. So I presume it was a Windows. It's probably an IBM.
Well, no, it might not have been a Windows operating system, but it might have had Office on there because Office.
I thought Office had always been released on
Microsoft
Windows.
Access on it. Remember that?
Oh yes.
Used to
Oh
have
no, it was
database.
Windows. It was a Windows.
Used to have to write macros and stuff.
Yeah.
God damn.
My
Love a
ICT A
macro.
level that was Microsoft Access.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to wrap it up for this week.
Cool, mate.
We'll be back with something a little bit more upbeat on Thursday, hopefully.
I'm going to swing my dick around.
If
Pretty upbeat.
you have any
Get my
problems,
colour chart out.
if you have any problems that we can solve, send it into stickitpod.com. There's a thing that you can type in your problem there. What's the word? A form.
Yeah.
You can fill in, and you can go to all of our social media. We'll be back on Thursday. For this week, I've been Dan.
I've been Dom.
I've been Ross.
And don't worry, it's not all bad because we're living in a simulation.
Bum, bum, bum. Cue 90s house music, Matrix style.